sports marketing expert, Brian Cristiano.
Brian Cristiano.
Sports fans are arguably the most passionate people probably on the face of this planet.
Marketers and advertisers and brands always have to keep in mind, you have to play to the state of your audience.
If you're not passionate, do something else.
Kyle Simmons, we're not sitting in couches today. What's going on, buddy?
No. This time I decided to take my business development out to the hills. Dude, we have a little bit of a different office out here today in New York.
Yeah, it looks like you're hard at work with your goggles on your head.
Oh, I am. I'm on my lunch break actually right now. I know we usually do tequila, but today I'm going to be making it a little bit more American. I'm bringing it back to North America with tall boy PBR and some nice veggie pizza. Low carb beer. BizDev
PBR. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We said we weren't going to not do the show today, even though you're traveling. I'm glad that we're doing it.
Business never sleeps. Business development never sleeps. So you gotta keep it going.
I love it, man. Well, cool. Just getting right into it. I love it. I got a shot, so I'm going to save it for the end. Cool. Yeah. So let's talk about this. We're talking about, what are we going to talk about? You're somewhere else. You're actually out. You're doing some skiing, but you're also doing biz dev. You have a bunch of meetings lined up. Clearly in the winter sports realm. We won't say who, but good stuff is happening on your end. And I think it's a good question, which is, how important is biz deving in person, like taking in-person meetings versus emails and phone calls?
Oh man, it's so important. Here, one of the things we've noticed is that, you can call some companies 10, 15 times and, you're just that annoying guy. You're just one more sales call out of the 10 other sales calls they're going to get that day. But actually, coming out to their workplace and I'm going to say interacting with them, says a lot about, the fact that you understand their business, A, but B, that you're willing to put in the time and effort to connect with them in a lot more personal manner. What I've noticed is, especially out here, you can take somebody who you might want to work with, who might want to work with you, who might have otherwise become a dead prospect, and you're revitalizing a conversation out of a simple one-day trip,
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I mean, it's all about the relationships. I think people forget about that, especially in B2B, that it's still about relationships. People want to do business with people they like.
Absolutely. It speaks wonders to actually go out and do the sport that you're talking about so much. And, you can actually discuss what needs to be discussed afterwards.
Living the dream. Let's talk about Twitter for a quick second. You and I were chatting about this earlier before we set up the Skype.
Yeah.
Who knows if it's going to happen, but Twitter's talking about getting rid of the character limit and maybe opening up to 10,000. What say you? I got a perspective on this.
I think about it, and the first thing I think is, Jack Dorsey's got a lot of pressure on him to sort of build profitability in Twitter. And obviously it's been stinking lately because A, their advertising service isn't anywhere nearly as targetable or as effective as some of the other social platforms. But I think he's just clawing at glass at this point to try to think up a new anything to differentiate his platform and really bring back some of the users that have gone dormant. I don't think it'll catch on. I think 10,000 words, I think short novels. I'm pretty sure I've read novels that are less than 10,000 words. You open up that and you've essentially retroverted your social media platform into every other blogging site out there.
Yeah, I think that's what sticks out to me, right? I remember back in when Twitter first started coming around, was because blogging was starting to get really huge, and it was instead of these long format blogs, we're gonna make people consolidate it into as few words as possible. And micro blogging was a term for a little while, it no longer is. But that's really what it was, is kind of like a micro blog. And obviously Twitter and everything else has changed so much over the past 5-6 years. But to kind of revert back to why they made the platform initially was to kind of be the anti-blog, and now to go back to now it's just a blogging platform. And I think it's so noisy, even with just people putting out short little bits of content. Can you imagine your Twitter feed full of these shortened versions of 10,000 word posts?
Who's gonna care?
Who cares?
None of the audience that even turned towards Twitter and became regular users is going to react positively to this. And it's yes, they have to do something to revitalize that platform. like upping the word capacity by about 185 times. That's not the answer. No, not at all.
I agree. Who knows? Maybe they don't do it at all. We're not the only people saying that this is probably a bad idea. Maybe they just dump it. But I don't know. I think it's a weird move if they go that route. I still think Twitter's viable. I think it's great as a platform, and I think like if somebody's watching us, all right, well, how the hell do I use Twitter for like my advantage? I think it all comes down to the conversation, using Twitter search, finding somebody who's talking about what you are involved in or you want to talk about, and jumping into the conversation, and not being like, hey, buy my stuff, but like, hey, oh, what's going on? Cool, we have similar interests. What's going, and like starting a conversation. That's how you're successful on Twitter, and like allowing people to do that in 10,000 words is just you remove the personability even further from the platform.
Well, I think the only people that are going to benefit from know, novelists.
There you go. I mean, maybe some people will be successful on this, but I don't know.
Chapter of my next novel. You want to learn what happens in the second half of the first chapter? Turn in next week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, maybe that works for somebody. It's not going to work for me. All right. Let's wrap it up with this one last thing you and I were talking about earlier, which is
obviously we go to a lot of shows as a sports advertising agency. One of the shows we're going to be at is the upcoming SIA Snow Sports show in a couple weeks. It's about a week and a half out at this point. Just kind of doing some searching around, getting reacquainted with a couple of the companies that we're going to have meetings with out there. One of the things I noticed is this newer North American owned I'm going to say ski related company. Within the U.S., I'm going to say North American summer months, about a 4-month window of time, these guys went completely dormant. Maybe one social post every 3 to 4 weeks. They're sort of pinholing the seasons based off on what they're experiencing, based off where their headquarters is, and
right. Yeah,
it's not smart. What do you think about that?
I think it's super dangerous, and it's shocking to me that I've heard that theme more times than I wish I heard. Like so many businesses, especially in very cyclical businesses like winter sports type companies or summer sports type companies, there's a tendency to do two things, like kind of go silent or really light in social media in their voice over the more dormant months, and really slow down their marketing during that same time frame because they figure, well, we're not really doing as much in business this time of the year, so we shouldn't be as loud. And it's so the opposite. And I think that's what businesses don't realize now is it's not just where you're located. Even if your physical location is somewhere, there's global business to be had. And I know we and some of our clients have really delved a lot deeper into connecting with consumers globally through marketing and social marketing, even though they're only based in the US. And I think a perfect example is, when I talk with Travis at SAS Global Travel, where, they're about ski and snowboard trips, but their biggest money-making time of the year is during our summer because they're taking people to South America to go skiing and snowboarding. So they kind of arbitrage the market in that way, where everybody's like, oh, nobody's thinking about skiing and snowboarding, it's the summer. And they flipped it the other way around and said, hey, everyone from the Northern Hemisphere, let's go south and keep skiing and snowboarding. And they've made a massive business out of this. And now they're in Japan and a bunch of other locations as well. And yeah, it's a big mistake to go quiet. It's a big mistake to stop marketing during your off season. There is no off season anymore, and that's just an old school mentality.
Yeah, it's marketing doesn't die in sports anymore. It's like there is no break. It's like a sport without any half times, right? You can't regroup. You got to continually shift on the go. You can't go dormant because guess what? If you do go dormant, whatever countries, states that are engaging in your sport and are in the proper season for that, they're going to look at your brand as a brand that's not really engaging in the market. They're going to look at you as like a flake to the market.
Yeah.
You've got to keep activity up. And you know what? If your slow season is in North American summer, well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe you need to be engaging in social media outlets more multinationally.
Yeah.
During the U.S. summer to expand your brand awareness and your e-commerce overseas.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway too is that and I don't know why, but I think these brands forget that these are lifestyle sports. These people aren't just going off the slopes in April and then forgetting about it. They wish they could be skiing during the summer, and so if you can create that vibe and connection, there's just no reason not to. And the other thing to think about is so many companies are going much more quiet and silent during that time. You can be a lot louder and make a lot more noise.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's one of these things where if you go silent, you're going to see your impressions go down. You're going to see the consumer engagement go down, and
then you got to ramp it back up every single year. That's a lot of work. Keep the momentum going.
Growing it steadily as you go. But
all right, well,
anyways.
cool, man. Well, good stuff. Let's wrap it up. I'll let you get back to your biz deving.
Yeah, I know we usually do tequila shots out there, but we're gonna have to switch it up a little bit differently today and bring it back into North America.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers.
All right, Kyle, man. Good luck out there. We'll see you back here in New York soon.
All right, man. Best of luck to you guys out there.
Bye.
Bye.